Good evening, everybody. An early start tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, where we're dealing with nice weather mostly in the Northeast. Had heavy rain here in the Southeast today, and there's some more showers and thunderstorms to go.
Oh, hold on for a second, Joe. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry.
You just never know what's going to pop up on this show, do you?
I mean, normally you would not hear that.
Yes, normally I
If
wouldn't.
I, yeah,
Correct. So
but
let me finish by open here. Flash flooding and severe weather risk from the middle Mississippi Valley south, and there's still a little hint of wintertime going on in parts of the Rockies. All that and so many surprises that lie ahead tonight. On the 5 p.m., we're up against the news tonight, Joe. I can't imagine they must be flocking from their TV sets and rushing to YouTube.
whatever. No, I appreciate you scrambling our schedule tonight, because I've got my very last virtual talk on the potential meteor shower next week, and that talk is at 7 o'clock tonight. So 5 o'clock, Joe and Joe, somewhere in between. I'll wolf down my dinner. I don't know what Renata has planned for Din Din tonight, and then after that, 7 o'clock the talk, and then after that, whatever.
We're hearing from folks on the chat. So one who said that. Dennis Cassius says the audio is excellent. Okay, I'm just noticing I'm running just a smidge hot when I raise my voice. I'm gonna just take it down a notch. So, folks, you'd do me a great service if you would just let me know. I think we got the feedback issue resolved, and if you could just let me know that the audio sounds fine, that both of us are good, it would be terrific. And Joe will monitor the chat board oh so religiously to make sure to pass on that information to me in a timely fashion. So
Yep.
let's jump to the Memorial Day weekend because uh, the GFS has what I think is probably a much more dire look to it, and the main difference is the fact that and I'm still thinking, Joe, that the model is just way overdoing that whole thing with that cutoff coming out. I just I'm sticking with it. The European has not budged. The European and the Icon are together on this, which a lot of times they are. So it's not a huge vote of support. The GFS is the most dire because it's got a block that doesn't look that much different from what we went through 2 weeks ago. And the Canadian is, as always, the Canadian is the ultimate compromiser. It always takes a little bit of one model and a little the other model and just kind of splits the difference between the two. So I don't know how you feel about it. I'm just kind of curious.
Well, yesterday and even this morning, I said, well, at least we'll be able to get through about two-thirds of the upcoming weekend in fine shape. Monday seems to be the big question mark. But I can always remember, of the three unofficial summertime weekends, big weekends in the summer. And of course, we're not into summer just yet with Memorial Day, but it always seems like Memorial Day, of the three, 4th of July, Labor Day, we always have a problem with Memorial Day. There's always something that's running around or whatever that's causing, a turn toward unsettled weather or whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's seemingly it's like a perennial problem with this particular holiday coming up. So
Memorial Day
I don't know.
of the three holiday weekends, statistically, Memorial Day is the one that you're gonna lose at least one of those days. Uh, Usually, that's been my experience. That you wind up losing one of those days, and sometimes two, and every once in a while you lose all three because it's too. It's still you're still pretty deep into the spring season. You still have potential for blocks to develop and lows to slow down to an absolute crawl. So that's the one that goes down the drain. I think we stand a fair chance to get two out of 3 days should be okay. And if you believe the Europeans' idea, where the cutoff low is nothing, nowhere near what the GFS has, Saturday will be fine. So I said that I'm going to stick with my guns because this is what I went for when we talked about this over a week ago, and I'm not going to change my mind. And yes, Keith James, last year it was a horror show on the Memorial Day holiday weekend. It was miserable. I think it was in the 40s a lot of the time, wasn't it?
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah, absolutely. You don't even want to. I don't even want to be reminded of what happened last year. Last year was more like the last weekend of April, or maybe even the last weekend of March. I mean, it was just so far off the wall, and anything that we get this year is certainly going to be a lot better.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So anyhow, I had pouring rain today. I must have had a couple of inches of rain. Uh, that was another thing. And now the GFS has backed off on it. It was consistently trying to bring some of this rain area up. And I don't know if you saw the loops this morning on the radar. That was a it was certainly some kind of upper air system that came out of the Gulf of Mexico yesterday. We forgot to mention that with everything going on, the Hurricane Center actually made a mention of it on their outlook. I guess they had nothing to do, so they decided to write about something that wasn't going to develop anyway. So the thing is, there was a distinct area of vorticity with it because while it was sitting inland this morning on the radar, it was just like this giant comma of heavy rain that took over, and it held together fairly well as it moved up northeastward. And I got into it, and it poured, and now it's moved out, and it's been a miserable day here though. It's cloudy. It's in the upper 60s. It's been raining all day. My poor dog. He didn't get to go to the dog park, so he's very sad today. He's on the couch.
You mean to tell me that we actually up here have a much better overall weather situation at this present moment in time as opposed to you? I don't
Yes,
believe it.
yes, you do.
Oh,
You do. It does happen. I have to say, this was a remarkable stretch of weather we've had here. I mean, the last 7 or 8 days have been absolutely terrific. So we were bound to get a rainy, some rain, and of course this week is going to be different because we're going to have opportunity all week long. It does remind me, though, years ago I went on a 2 week vacation on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We rented a house, and I think I told you this story where we were there this was in early August. We were there for 2 weeks, and uh, there was nothing but blue skies and sunshine for the first 12 days. Okay, gorgeous. On the 13th day, we had a tropical storm. I forgot the name of the tropical storm. I don't know if it was the A storm that year. I have to go back and look. But we had a tropical storm. Maybe it was a little deeper in the alphabet. But anyway, we had a tropical storm, and we had 50 to 70 mile an hour winds. It came through on the night of the 13th day, and I slept through it. Everybody in my house that was with me, my whole family, we had extended family there. They were all panicking. We need to leave. We need to leave. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm going to bed. I went to sleep, and of course, the house was shaking. I didn't hear a thing. I could sleep through an atom bomb, at least in those days. The next day, the storm's to our north. It's inland, and it wasn't raining, but it was a very, very dark, eerie, cloudy day. And the wind had turned to the west, but it was very, very low overcast and everything else. And you could see all the foam on the ocean crashing the shores. So we ran into a couple on the beach just talking. So being the smartass that I am, and I was channeling Morticia Adams on the Adams Family, and I'd said, because
Maria,
yeah,
it's French.
yes, because we mentioned that we had been here for 2 weeks in the weather, 2 weeks, and that we were leaving the next day after this tropical storm, and I said, 12 days of miserable sunshine, and just as we were about to leave, the weather finally turned nice. And they looked at me like I had 10 heads, and they quickly ran away. And by, and by the way, speaking of which, she's sitting in my mailbox right now. I My new carnivorous plant has arrived, a purple pitcher,
Oh,
and
uh-oh.
her name will be Ophelia. So I have Cleopatra and I have Ophelia, and they'll be she
Oh,
yes. Uh,
yes.
the pitcher plant drowns her insects. Yes, exactly.
Oh, you mean like she did choose them down, so to speak.
No. She So the pitcher, the leaves are the shape they like pitchers, and they fill with water, and insects get in. I was reading about it. They have hairs on the inside and wax on the inside of the leaf, and hairs that are pointed downward, so they're against the grain. So if an insect falls in, it has a really difficult time trying to crawl out. So it winds up drowning in the water, and then collected from rain. She drowns in the water, and then she dissolves them.
Okay, that's that's a lovely way to go.
It
Oh,
is. Dissol- Cause of death is dissolution, as opposed to
yeah.
disillusion. All right, let's enough with the stories. The chairman has hit super chat, reminding us that last year Memorial Day, New York City, a high of 51 on Saturday and Sunday, with lows of 47. Memorial Day got to 70, and only Joe 4 days, only four times on Memorial Day have we seen temperatures go to 90 degrees. And Memorial Day being a movable feast, so movable holiday. It's not a feast, movable holiday. Um,
Right.
so it's always on different days, and there's a 7 day stretch there where the normals jump 2 degrees. So yeah,
Hey, just think
it's
about this,
rare.
Joe. Just just think about this. If Memorial Day came a few days earlier, they would have had a snowy Memorial Day in Denver.
Yeah, well, it's still going out there. Who
Right.
knows? Maybe not in Denver per se, but in nearby areas. Check out we got the northeast satellite view. I really like, by the way. I really do like this one. I'm gonna use this one all summer and going into the fall to see these lightning strikes. Because I think that's really useful. And you can see there actually were some down in North Carolina during the late afternoon. I saw a couple of severe thunderstorm and tornado, a couple of tornado warnings, and also some storms here in southeast Georgia. Meanwhile, a nice area of dry air. You can see how the ridge is anchored here, and it's fighting back those clouds that are trying to move northeastward. It may not have total success with it, but I don't think we're going to have any issues with regards to rain uh, rain until late this week when we have a cold front with showers and storms. But that ridge should hold for now. Excuse me.
Right. And lovely day today. I mentioned yesterday that the winds are now going to begin to turn with the high migrating into uh, Quebec and toward the Maritimes. The winds are going to start migrating or coming from a more east or northeast direction, and so that could set the stage for a bit more in the way of cloud cover, at
Yeah,
least for tonight and tomorrow.
yeah. I think the air gets a little what I'll describe as it becomes more of a dirty high by the time we get to Wednesday. But
Right.
it's always tricky with the onshore flow. Sometimes you have it and you get this dry air that comes down that you don't over often account for it ahead of it, and you wind up to be sunnier than you otherwise would be, or maybe I've seen instances like this where it's actually winds up being more sunny at the coast than it does inland, which is also somewhat strange. And here's the full view of the U.S. satellite, and you see those storms, the lightning strikes that are going on from the Gulf of Mexico northeastward. Was pretty solid tropical moisture that moved up, and we're seeing some storms developing right now in Oklahoma. A lot of lightning strikes going on there, and in parts of Texas, and that's our uh, you to go to the radar. and I'll just give this a quick refresh. It was a little tornado. There was a tornado warning there in central North Carolina. Looks like we've got a couple of severe. There's another one in northeastern North Carolina. Another one in western South Carolina. Pretty strong line there in South Georgia. There's some rain that's moved into southernmost Pennsylvania, but the echoes dry up from there as you go to the northeast. You know, you look at that radar and the way it's moving, you start to wonder whether some of that's going to wind up surviving. I'm starting to look at this and I'm like, whoa, that's not too shabby.
No, it's not. And I love that what you're using right now for the lightning. That's off of the same goes satellite ensemble, right?
Yes, I
I mean, this is
just changed sectors.
right, right. So that's lovely. That's I mean, you can actually see it all. I can hardly wait for our first outbreak of really major thunderstorm activity, like in our sector of the United States, and to see how that works. For us.
Yeah,
Although it's good to see how places in the central part of the nation are getting it, and North Carolina and whatever right now.
here's a close up of the southeast. You can see I was in that that big the circular ball there. It still has a bit of an identity to it, left over from what was there this morning. And I think the fact that you're seeing some of these severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings is testament to the fact that this was really rich tropical moisture that moved up. Still some action back down into South Georgia. It's mostly out of northern Florida at the moment. The rest of Florida is doing nicely. To the west, and there's that area of showers and storms in Oklahoma that's blossoming out, and also back through parts of Texas. We don't have any weather warnings at the moment as of 518. And we've got some precip in parts of Colorado and New Mexico, Kansas, and particularly in Nebraska. A little bit of heavy rain there, and some scattered precip across the Pacific northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Most of that seems to be on the light side. The Storm Prediction Center has marginal risk in western half of Texas. Has a slight risk in North and South Carolina. We've got a it's like is that a tornado watch that just went up for western South and into North Carolina. And also, we've got severe thunderstorm watches up for the rest of South Carolina and a portion of eastern Georgia. The slight risk going up into central North Carolina, and then it just cuts off from there. For tomorrow, we have our risk for tomorrow is in Texas and a small portion of southern Oklahoma, marginal risk across the Gulf states and the South Atlantic coast. For day 3, we are looking at marginal risk from Texas up to Indiana and Illinois, small area of slight risk in southeast Texas and around the coastal bend into southwest Louisiana. And on the long range, we've got nothing really much to worry about other than the fact that they say predictability is too low. Here's another thing, by the way, as far as the weekend is concerned. You would think that if the GFS were right, we're going to be right, WPC would be far more aggressive with the rainfall amounts. They've got a tenth to a quarter of an inch indicated for the coastal areas from Maine down to New Jersey, and even inland they have a quarter to a half. So WPC is probably looking at the GFS and saying no. So I feel kind of good that's if they're on the same side of the page as I am, I'm feeling good about my prospects for the weekend.
Well, yeah, that seems about right. The GFS seems to be overdoing things in terms of moisture here in the Northeast. I mean, if you look at the 24-hour accumulated precipitation, I mean, they have stuff going on right on straight through the entire weekend and into Monday.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard. That's hard to gather or hard to accept right now.
Yeah. Big rains, Virginia, North Carolina, several inches there. Also across the Gulf states, particularly in parts of Alabama, Mississippi, and into Texas. And also a big area in Kansas, eastern half of Kansas, 2 to 3 inch plus rains there. The Southwest is bone dry for the next 7 days. And we might as well it doesn't seem like there's any prospects for any rain there anytime soon. And the Northwest kind of tailed off. There really isn't a whole lot in terms of the precip that's being shown. So a couple of things I want to do, just show quickly on the long range. So here's the Pacific North America Index, or the PNA, and this measures pressure changes over North America with a focus on the Pacific side, and also a focus on the Atlantic side. Goes into part of the calculation, which is a simple calculation. It's basically subtracting um, pressure, the differences between the lower pressure and the higher pressure, lower pressure areas and the higher pressure areas. And when the PNA is negative, it favors a ridge in the east, and that's what it's doing. It's actually going from neutral now and dropping to negative, and then makes a very, very slight turn after the first few days of June, starts to slope a little bit upward. But it's the NAO that I find interesting because once again, we're at a peak right now with the NAO, and that comes crashing down, Joe. By the time we get to the 1st of June, we go neutral, and then we go almost one standard deviation negative for the first week of June. And I don't know about beyond that, but at least during that time frame, uh, I'm thinking I'm thinking we may be going back to some sort of blocky pattern when we get into the first part of June, and that doesn't surprise me.
Well, yeah. In fact, I'm looking here at the end of. I'm looking at the European. Now, this is not the. I'm not looking at the ensemble. I'm looking at the operational model, and there seems to be like a tremendous ridge building up in the eastern United States for the end of the month. And meanwhile, they've got an unusually sharp trough over in the western United States. But it looks like it's going to be a dry trough because it doesn't show all that much in terms of any possible moisture. You know, you see something like that, you say to yourself, well, finally there'll be a drought buster out west. But there doesn't appear to be much of anything, except for maybe, well, maybe for Nevada and Utah and over into the Pacific Northwest. But for places that really need it, like Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Northern Texas, bone dry with that upper system. And here in the east, as I just noted, this high that's just inflating, so to speak, or increasing in strength um, over the course of the final days of May and into the beginning of June.
Yeah, the model differences. I just took a quick look at the ensemble before what happens after this goes by, and looks like the operational and the ensembles are all, they're pretty much on the same page. The main difference here, it's actually rather simple. Sometimes when you look at the surface of you look at the surface, and you look at the different maps and the different models, and the surfaces look totally different, and you wonder. And then when you look at the upper air, where everything is a lot smoother, the changes are a bit more subtle. And in this particular situation, it's fairly easy. We just don't know which one's going to have the upper hand here. But you've got this cutoff low, and you see it here. This is what I'm talking about. This cutoff low right here. We're looking at the 18,000 foot level of the atmosphere. Big upper high sitting over Florida, off of the Florida coast. Your jet stream goes like that. We've got a ridge here built up into the eastern states, and this is on Wednesday. And as we move along, that upper low holds together through Thursday into Missouri. Then it starts to weaken as it moves eastward, and it merges. There's a short wave that's dropping down from Hudson Bay, I'm sorry, near Lake Winnipeg, that comes down and just kind of merges with it. And the result is the whole thing just sort of carries away to the northeast. We get into the weekend and everything is fine. We've got this nice ridge, big ridge building into the eastern part of the United States, starting for Sunday and Monday. And yeah, you definitely will have a warm to perhaps even very warm weather as we go through the weekend. Cooler on Saturday, and then the warmest day would be Monday. Now you switch to the GFS, and they both start with the cutoff, but the GFS is far more south with it. It's down in Oklahoma, which at this time of year it's kind of unusual to have a cutoff that far south, but it has it, and it does not have. What it does not have is that upstream shortwave that comes down out of Canada and merges with it. So the upper low stays completely separate, and then finds its way into Pennsylvania and sits there. This is on Monday. So the, the outcome on the GFS is different. So it's really about Is the European correct with dropping that shortwave down in the northern stream? The upper low weakens and merges with it and gets kicked out, or is the GFS right where there is no upstream shortwave and the upper low just basically, like happened a couple of weeks ago, the upper low just gets left behind in sort of a no man's land and sits there? I don't know. I'm again, I'm thinking the Europeans going to be correct here, so we'll see. But I hope that this doesn't happen because this is not good if this winds up happening.
Yeah, well, like we said, backtracking, the Memorial Day weekend always is problematic, and why not this weekend? This particular Memorial Day weekend be problematic? That looks like the standard, and that's what we're going to have to deal with for this weekend. And hopefully, things will get a little bit clearer and more in focus as we get closer to the upcoming weekend, because we're still, Memorial Day is still 7 days out, and a lot of things can happen between now and then.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the surface map to load here. Right now, we've got the circle of death going on,
Yeah.
and round and round and round it goes. Boy, this is taking a long time, even for me. There we go. All right, so here's what it looks like in the east on the surface. Take a look at all that severe weather overnight in Texas and Oklahoma. Really, by tomorrow morning, it actually gels. The overnight thunderstorms that are going to be happening there. That's where the risk area is. And then again, we go into Wednesday. While most of the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states looks good, here comes Friday. Now I'm thinking, Joe, on Friday. Now the GFS would argue against this because of the way it has the low tracking, because it goes is going to eventually go underneath us. I mean, this would suggest that we probably just get a couple of showers with a little, frontal passage, and then the low comes eastward, and you start to get into showery rains. And there's still some around even on Sunday. This is Sunday evening, still showing some showery rains. Even on Monday, it's got a little patch there along the coast. The European, it's a simple cold front on the European. And if we had the blocking pattern already here, I would be arguing for the GF. I would be arguing in favor of what the GFS would be showing. But this is just a simple cold front with some showers and thunderstorms. I thought there might be a slight chance that we could see a marginal risk of severe weather out of this. The trough is not too shabby in the upper air, so why not? And then after that on the European, say goodbye. The rain's all gone, nothing for the whole 3 days. And a southwest flow that starts on Sunday and carries to a westerly flow on Monday. If this is right, Joe, Memorial Day is going to be up close to 90. If this is correct, if the European is correct.
I would agree. And in fact, one of the people I forgot already on the chat board asking about the weather for the Indy 500 this coming Sunday, I believe. Not on Memorial Day; it's on Sunday. And from my vantage point, Joe, it looks like it's going to be fair, dry, sunny for Indianapolis. Temperatures well up in the 80s. Spoke about 90. Well, why not? Maybe near 90 in Indy as well for the big race on Sunday.
Yep, that's how I'm seeing it. So let's do a little Briller Jeopardy and get you out of here because you've got things to do. And let's see, where is it? Got to find it someplace. There we go.
Where is it?
Where is
Where
it?
is it?
So here we go. So we're going to talk about extreme weather for New York in June. In the month of June, what was the highest temperature ever in Central Park in the month of June?
I believe we had at least one case where the temperature topped 100 degrees in the month of June. So I'll say something like, I can't give you the exact date or whatever, but I'll say 101.
101 is the correct answer. Therefore,
Ding 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 ding.
therefore, you don't pay the penalty. June June 27th, 1966. What was the lowest temperature in the month of June?
By the way, I remember that heat wave or that spell of heat in 1966. That was the one where LaGuardia, I think, on July the 3rd, LaGuardia hit 107. So I mean, you talk about the hottest temperature ever recorded within the confines, within the five boroughs of New York. It was that year, 1966, I think, on the 3rd of July. Now, the coldest temperature, the chilliest temperature,
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever gotten. I don't think it's ever gotten below 40 in the month of June. I'll say. So I'll say, well, a full 60 degrees lower than what I just gave you for the hottest temperature. I'll say 41.
Uh, Incorrect. 44 on June 1st, 1945. Well, close enough though,
Okay.
but close enough. What was the coldest date?
Yeah.
What was the coldest daytime maximum?
Well, we just talked about the fact that last year on the Saturday and Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, the temperature was something like it was 51 degrees,
Right.
and we're only a few days away from the start of June. So I'm going to go. I'll go with that. I'll say the coldest maximum temperature ever recorded in June was again another one with a one at the end, 51 degrees.
And you are within one, 52 in 1946. What was the most rain ever to fall in the entire month of June?
Dare I say, might have been the year of Agnes. Remember Hurricane Agnes that just sat over the Northeast for many days, and there were parts of Pennsylvania that was like, the second coming of the Johnstown flood. So I would think that if that would be correct in 72, I would say eight. Well, how about 8 inches? I'll say 8 inches.
That is an incorrect answer. The
Eh,
correct answer is 10.26 inches in 2003.
in 2003.
Yeah.
Wow,
I have no
that was my
recol-
first.
I have no
That was
recollection
my first. No,
of it whatsoever.
that was my first June up here. Was Putnam Valley was in 2003. I can't even remember that being so wet, but that's what it was, I guess.
Okay. So I know you have things to do because you have places to go. So we'll you and I will be in touch and we'll see if we're going to figure something out while you're away, if you feel up to it. Um, Otherwise, have a great trip. Enjoy yourself. Have a great vacation. I'm going to solo the next couple of nights, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I'm just going to play it by ear after that because I could use some time off too. So, but
Understood.
we'll take it a day at a time. So have a great time, everybody. Those of you who showed up early tonight, thank you so much. I know it's a lot of folks are working, so they like the 7 o'clock start because they're home from work, or the 7:30 start because they're home from work, and so we moved it to accommodate Mr. Rayo, and we will tomorrow. I'll probably go at 7 tomorrow, and probably at 7 on Wednesday. Uh, Leon Probitsky hitting super chat. He's got the hype
And
link,
Dave
the was it the hippopotamus with the hype logo going. Yes,
right. And
exact.
David Schwartz, and that David Schwartz was the one who asked about the weather on Sunday for the Indy 500, and
And
he also hit
big
super chat.
thanks to David Schwartz. I don't see. Oh, there he is. I see it now. Yes. Thank you, David, for hitting super chat. Most appreciated. And the chairman Scott Briller who hit super chat toward the beginning of the show. And I'm just running through the chat real quick just to see. J Dog says he just had a tornado warning here in upstate South Carolina, but the cell broke apart before it could gain momentum. Uh, Thankfully, because that's one of those things that when you get them, you really don't want to get them. So you want them to go away. So that's a good thing. It's much tornadoes are not to be reckoned with, uh, or something to be reckoned with. You don't want to reckon with them. Chuck Cardillo, there's mention there of Robert Brown being on the board. I haven't seen you in a while, Robert. Good to see you on tonight. I hope everything is going well by you. And that's it. So hold on, I got one more question. How does the weather look for the Sunday's? Oh, good, that was David's question. Okay, very good.
Right.
All right, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully by then my website will be up. Joe, I had my website came up. I was able to get in. I had it up for an hour. and then I got dumped out again, and I can't get back in. No, I'm back to where I started from. But at least we seem to get this audio issue resolved with regards to the feedback. I hate to, jinx it, but I hope that this is a solution. Okay, have a great day. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye, folks.